Well, hi everybody. Season's greetings. I hope you're enjoying the holiday season, and I hope that you're going to top off the holiday season and start the new year with a visit to CES. And I think most of you know, the virtual events group works closely with CES as well as a number of other conferences and events to help them do everything from bring in new properties, bring in new audiences, find the next hot thing. And we have been working with CES since 2018, and it's been nothing but sheer pleasure. So, what we wanted to do for you today is bring you a potpourri of voices from CES that will help you understand the magnitude of the show and help you navigate your way through the show and keeping sanity. So first, just show of hands in your Zoom windows. How many people have never been to a CES? And I'm, how many people uh, go every year? And of course, I can't see this, so somebody will have to tell me. A lot of people go every year, right? Um, yeah, so I'm going to take you back in a minute, and I want you to listen carefully because we're going to have a trivia contest after this. I'll take you back to 1967. The basement of the New York Hilton in New York was the first CES show. There were 100 exhibitors and about 1,700 guests, and the products were mostly televisions and audio things of all sorts. Vietnam War, Summer of Love, just then in the middle of all this, a vision of a show devoted to electronics. Some of the other products that were coming out in 67, the handheld calculator from TI, which actually made every math teacher apoplectic, much like ChatGPT does to all teachers today. The ATM, it was first year for the ATM machines. So the fact that CES has been around for 59 years and keeps reinventing and looking ahead at what the next wave of technology will be is extraordinary. As a matter of fact, the biggest debate at that first CES was, is the standard going to be 8-track or cassette tape? So, so, um, lots going on here. And so we at Virtual Events Group started partnering with CES in 2018 and really wanted to bring some community to the show. So we built actually our iconic Digital Health, which is now has a wonderful life of its own. We built the wearables part of the show, which we still help out with. We've built the creators space now, kids and family, and then some events like Robots on the Runway, the first fashion show of robots, the last gadget standing that actually was a crowdsourced, the first crowdsourced contest because you won this talent show for best product by applause. And so it was the applause meter thing, and it was lots of fun. So to me, CES is always two things. One, it's you see yourself in the epicenter of technology, and you see it all around you, and it's you who can pick what will be next year's funny headline, like worst product ever, and what will actually be something that's going to change markets and move mountains. And seeing it all laid out in once is an incredibly heady experience. But the other part about CES is it's also like, remember the story of the blind man and the elephant? The eight blind men are touching the elephant narrative. One says it's a trunk and one says it's ears. Nobody, unless they're in the Guinness book and I don't know about it, nobody sees all of CES. And so we depend on each other um, to trade information and to find out where the litmus for next year and the future will be. And it's a really important year. So first off, I want to say welcome to our guests because they're all kind of incredible. And this is a really hard time of year for people to make time to do anything, more or less be a guest on this show. So I'm going to highlight, let me put this up here, my PowerPoint slide. It looks like an a cappella choir group at the moment, but it's really not. You have John Kelley in the middle. John Kelley is the VP and show producer for CES. And this is, regardless of what you think, he'll tell you about how big it's grown. This is a full-time job. Jeremy Kaplan. representing our journalist contingent. Jeremy and I work together at Ziff Davis Publishing, and now he is content director for the Tech of Future, which is like a gazillion publications that he can put in the chat window, but I'm sure you know and follow a lot of them. We have Daniel Rasmus. Daniel was at Microsoft, looking at The Office and at Forrester Research. And Daniel's going to really focus in on what I'm calling the AIification of CES, though I'm sure we'll all focus on that to some degree. We have Meredith Perry, who's brave enough to represent the exhibitor's point of view. Being an exhibitor at CES, like in addition to your full-time job, is pretty consuming work, and the smart exhibitors will do it well and plan ahead of time. But Meredith will also talk about, Meredith has a wearable that will put you right to sleep at CES if you'd like. She'll talk to you about wearables this year because you are going to see wearables in all sorts of new form factors. And then we're going to follow on with Stuart Wolpin. And Stuart really is the CTA, which is the parent company of CES, the CTA historian. This is a 59-year long saga, and Stuart has really archived, documented, given out Lifetime Achievement Awards. I think you wrote mine. So it's really great to have your long-term perspective on, and then you guys in the audience, whether you're online or whether you're here live, ask us questions, ask them questions. They know a lot. Uh, and let me introduce John Kelley to talk to you about, as the show director, what's happening this year that we ought to know about. John?
Yeah, well, thank you, Robin. And this will be my 18th CES, but this is my first time joining this conversation. So thank you all for joining today. Thank you, Robin and team at Virtual Events Group, for your continued support of CES and helping build CES to the amazing show that it is today. Over the last, you mentioned this will be the 59th show edition of CES, I guess annual edition of CES. And a lot has changed over the last 59 years, much of which we'll cover today. But what has remained true is the fact that innovation is still at the heart of CES, and innovation shines brightest at CES. And it's amazing every year, just personally for me to meet, many of our attendees that come to the show, many of the exhibitors. It's a show of big ideas from companies large and small, and they come to CES with an idea and a dream to meet partners, to meet media, to meet investors, etc. So CES can be very, very inspiring in many ways, and I think that's remained true for the last 59 years. Although I was not at the first CES, Robin. So to your question earlier, your other question, were you born in 1967? I was not born in 1967. So just to clarify that point. But no, we're really excited for CES 2026. I'm just going to give just a very top level overview of the show, some key areas to see, and then we'll really have our other experts weigh in on what they're most excited about CES 2026. So CES 2026 will occupy 12 official venues, 13 if you count Mandalay Bay, which is our pre-show press events take place over at Mandalay Bay. So we'll be at the Las Vegas Convention Center, we'll be at the Venetian, we'll be at the Wynn, we'll be at Encore, we'll be at Aria, Cosmopolitan, Park MGM, and I'm probably missing a few. But that's Resorts World, Fontainebleau, and which we'll talk about here in a minute. But just looking across the campus of the show itself, just a few highlights that I just want to call out specifically. First, we'll start at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So Las Vegas Convention Center, for those of you that have been at CES the last couple of years, was under construction. The construction is completed. We'll be the first show to use the fully remodeled Las Vegas Convention Center. We're really excited. I was out there about 6 weeks ago. It looks amazing. Many of the CES veterans, I'm sure we've all made comments about the state of which the Las Vegas Convention Center looked at times. It's bright, it's open, it's airy now. It's really exciting. It looks in many ways the Central and North Hall. Central and North Halls look like entirely new facilities. It's really impressive, the work that they did. So we're really excited about that. Looking across the halls themselves, we'll start in West Hall, which is our hall for transportation mobility oriented hall. It's not just cars, it's boats, it's heavy machinery. I think you'll see a lot of robots, some industrial robots in there as well. Robotics is going to be a key theme across the show. You'll see it show up in many different areas. But there's a lot of that conversation happening in West Hall at the Convention Center. We
Hey,
also have a
John, can I
mobility.
ask you a question, John?
Yeah,
It feels
sure.
like CES is the biggest car show in America at this point, but it might not be.
That's something we've looked at, and I think that that statement is still accurate. It's the show has evolved, and like I said, it's not just cars. It's boats. We have big industrial equipment in there. John Deere has a large presence. Caterpillar has a large presence. Oshkosh has a large presence in there as well. And then you also get a lot of the tier one suppliers. So like AWS has space, Qualcomm has space, and many other companies. We also have, a lot of autonomous vehicles this year. So Zoox has a presence, Waymo has a presence, in West Hall to just tell that mobility story. So I think the big themes that we'll see in that hall is particular autonomy and then electrification as well. And just as that story continues to evolve as it has the past couple of years. Moving over to North Hall at the convention center, this the story in North Hall, in my opinion, is it's the most interesting story that we've seen really bubble up the past couple of years at CES, and it's that enterprise B2B story. And that's really you'll find that home in North Hall at the convention center. So it's enterprise solutions, B2B type solutions. We have sustainability, energy solutions. There's a big focus on energy here. You'll also find, going back to robotics, you'll find a lot of humanoid robotics in the North Hall at the convention center. So some really interesting companies there like 3M, Siemens, Hitachi, that are all big players in those spaces. So I think North Hall is going to look really good this year. Moving over to Central Hall, which is our home to immersive entertainment, big brands like LG, Panasonic, TCL, Hisense. Another big company participating this year for the first time in Central Hall is Dream. They're a robotics company from China, home robotics company, and they are showcasing their AV solutions in Central Hall this year. We've also moved the creator space that Robin mentioned earlier, which is our home for creators at CES. And so this is a really unique space that we worked with Virtual Events Group last year to launch at CES 2025. We're bringing it back to CES 2026. And we moved it on the show floor because we heard from many of the brands they want to be near the creators. This is very important to them, how creators cover the show. Brands are, you ask who they want to meet at the show, and it's media and creators. That's who they want to meet. So we were excited to bring this space to the show floor. We have a stage in there. We have several companies that are participating. Sponsors include Lowe's, Samsung, and the Weather Company. So we're really excited about that space. And then moving over to South Hall is home to design and source and accessories. So it's a couple hundred companies in South Hall that will be featuring primarily the accessories and then also design and source oriented products. Moving over to Venetian. Venetian is home to Eureka Park, which is our home to startups. So we're expecting over 1,100 startups at CES from dozens of countries. You'll find a lot of country pavilions in Eureka Park. To me, this is one of the most exciting areas of the show floor. There's a lot of areas of the show floor that are exciting, but to me, just walking the halls of Eureka Park, it's very vibrant. And there's just this energy in Eureka Park that it's infectious. It's inspiring in many ways. And there's some great conversations that take place down in Eureka Park at the Venetian. Moving upstairs, we have the health. Robin mentioned health. It's a growing category at CES. A big area dedicated to health with a couple hundred companies in the health area. Smart homes on level 2 of the Venetian, as is lifestyle and a few other categories as well. New this year, we have an accessibility stage, which is out in the lobby space at the Venetian, focused on accessibility tech. So this is a new area this is an area for us that's growing in importance. And just it's really exciting to see the types of conversations that will happen on that stage this year at Venetian. Then moving over further down the strip to the City Center campus, which would be Cosmopolitan, Aria, and Vidara, which is our home to C-Space, which is the home for the branding, advertising, and marketing communities. Some key first-time exhibitors this year include ANA Airlines, Fanatics, Geely Auto, DoorDash, IKEA, Marriott, Tensor Autos, and we're welcoming Lego Group back to the show for the first time since 2016. So we're
That's
excited
right.
that they
That's
will
right.
be.
They were in our kids' space. Yep.
Yeah, so we're excited to welcome them back to the show, and they're doing some really cool things around CES. So it'll be really exciting. A new area for us this year that I'm really excited to talk about is CES Foundry. So this is a 2-day part of it'll be taking place over 2 days, over the course of 2 days, January 7th and 8th, over at Fontainebleau Hotel. And it is the home for AI and quantum at CES. We recognize AI is going to be prevalent throughout the entire show. I think you'll see it in almost every corner of CES. But this is a dedicated space where we'll have companies on stages talking about AI specifically and how they're implementing AI to serve their customers and grow their businesses. So some of the companies participating over there include Agility Robotics, AMD, DeepX, Google, IBM, Quantinuum, NVIDIA. There's some really interesting conversations taking place on. We have multiple stages in the space. There's some demonstration areas where companies will be demoing product. We have some small company activations over there, but it's really focused and centered around thought leadership. So I think it's going to be a really neat and interesting part of the show and a little different than what we've done in other areas. So if you have an opportunity to check out Foundry at Fontainebleau, January 7th and 8th. Just quickly want to touch on our conference sessions and our keynotes. We have over 400 conference sessions this year, which is a record for us. An incredible lineup of keynotes with some really diverse companies too. So AMD, Siemens, Havas, the All In podcast is the first time we're actually going to have a podcast broadcast live broadcast from the CES stage. All In podcast, the CEO of Accenture and executives from General Catalyst. Lenovo will be at Sphere. Caterpillar will also be on the CES stage as well. And then last week we announced that Aura Health will be keynoting our Leaders in Technology dinner, which is an invitation-only dinner that we host during CES. So that's a very top-level overview of the show. The other last thing I do want to plug, if you're planning for the show, if you've never been to the show, or if you're a CES veteran, download the CES app from your favorite app store. We've made some improvements to the app. We have a new connect. There's a tool in there where you connect with people pre-show, plan your schedule. But some of the improvements that we have made this year on site, you'll be able to scan other attendees' badges to exchange contact information should they opt in, which is an added feature to the app this year. We have an AI chatbot that we launched on Monday, so it's new to the market Monday to help you plan your schedule. And it's been interesting the past couple of days to see the types of questions that people have been, or types of information that people have been seeking through that chatbot. The other neat function, two really, I think, useful functions that have been added to the app. One is that we've added translation functionality to the app. So for our keynotes in particular, it'll be in 6 languages. So if you are participating in a keynote, English is not your first language, you want to hear it in your native language. I think we have 6 or 7 languages. You can hear it on your headphones, and you can also see real live transcription on your phone as well. And then lastly, this is probably useful primarily for a lot of us CES veterans. We do have a integration built in the app that will give live updates on shuttle updates. So when's the next shuttle coming? Information about when is the next bus arriving? How long are the lines, etc. We've heard your feedback. This is something that comes up. We survey our attendees and our exhibitors after the show every year. This is something that we get feedback on frequently. So hopefully this will make planning just a little bit easier for people at CES this year. So CES 2026 is shaping up to be an incredible event. I'm really excited about it. Personally, I cannot wait to be in Las Vegas just to see everybody and see all of our hard work come to fruition. I guess if people haven't already registered, please do so. I would assume if you're attending today, you've probably already registered for CES and you intend to come to the show. But if you haven't, register at ces.tech.
Yeah, well, you gave us a great overview. But I know as an attendee, we have 2 questions. One is, did the convention center put in better Wi-Fi when they were making it more beautiful?
That's a great question, and that's a great question. Over the course of the past couple of years, the convention center works closely with Cox Communications, is the Wi-Fi provider an internet provider in the convention center. I know they've upgraded equipment throughout various parts of the convention center, not just for Wi-Fi, but also for 5G signals as well.
And I can't remember the answer to this, but do Waymos drive around Vegas?
Yes, so driverless or autonomous vehicles are now legal in Las Vegas. So I think last I heard there was 8 or 9 companies, I believe, that had applied for a license to do this. I don't know exactly how many have been approved to date, but it is something that is currently in plans, in the works, happening in Las Vegas. And I don't know specifically about Waymo or whether I know Waymo has applied. I don't know if they've been granted that license, but it is top of mind for the Las Vegas city officials, and it is something that I know that they'll be on the street soon.
Yeah, no, the transportation alone, from an evolution, the Tesla tunnel being the start of all that, like the best kept secret in Las Vegas.
Oh, oh, speaking of which, the loop, the Las Vegas loop, which you just mentioned, there's a new connection from the convention center to the Encore. So you can go to if you want to get over to the Wynn Encore
That's
hotel,
great.
you can just ride directly straight to the convention center. It's to me, it's one of the most efficient ways to get around Las Vegas if you're going to and from the convention center, particularly during busy time of year.
Can't thank you enough, John. And so now we know what you do all year, actually. You just don't show up the
Trying to
last
plan
month.
these little things, yes.
Yeah, it's really and seriously. I mean, I've seen some of the inner workings from the traffic light coordination to the parking to the where people pull up. And one thing I will say to see on behalf of CES, I've seen the smallest companies walk in there with like they spent their last dime to get there and be treated with the same respect and courtesy as the largest exhibitors. So great job and kudos to you guys.
Thank
So
you.
Jeremy, let's hear your view of what you're looking forward to as a journalist.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great overview, John. Thank you. What John didn't mention was how just the enormity of the show. 145,000 people crammed into one space is an awful lot of folks. So yeah, a couple, just a there's a vast amount of press releases that I get. So I've spent the last couple of weeks culling through those to sort of figure out what sort of things I should be looking for, what the big trends are at the show. And you have to parse through a lot of nonsense to find the meaningful stuff. I was reading this morning about the world's first commercially deployed neuromorphic microcontroller for always-on sensing. And if you can tell me what that means, you're smarter than I am. I'm just a simple caveman. I have no idea. But it sounds important. It's the world's first. I also read about this just this morning about voice-enabled heaters, fans, and air fryers, which is fascinating. I don't know why your air fryer needs voice command. I hope you're close enough to control it. But hey, there's a lot of innovation. There's tons and tons of crazy stuff that comes out at CES. What's I think interesting this year is some big names that aren't as present as in the past. John noted a bunch of companies that are new to the show, but one company that feels like it's pulling back is Samsung, which has retreated a little bit. There isn't a big keynote, there isn't a big presence on the show floor, but they are putting out a bunch of interesting products. I believe that there's going to be a fancy new phone from them, which some of you might have heard about, which folds in some interesting ways. And that will certainly make a big splash, just less of a splash than before, which is interesting. That said, there's still a gajillion fascinating, cool gadgets that are going to be there. Um, so yeah, the thing that I'm looking forward to more than anything else, I think, is the PC market. I think that there's going to be an awful lot of really fascinating computer technology that's going to be on display. There's going to be new chips being announced from most of the major chip manufacturers. AMD's got this 9000G series based on their Zen 5 architecture. Intel's coming out with what's called Panther Lake Core Ultra Series 2, which is the first chip on this new 2 nanometer process, which is much more efficient. And then Qualcomm is also coming out with some new chips. These are mostly targeting laptops, all of which means that there's going to be an awful lot more great laptop technology and a bunch of announcements from most of those big major players, HP and Dell and whatnot. So that is definitely something that I am looking forward to and keeping an eye on. Um, there's also going to be a lot of news. I think that we'll see Microsoft pushing this AI campaign that they've got going on, the computer that you can talk to. Um, we'll hear more about AI from Daniel. I think it's very interesting that Microsoft is pushing this angle because personally, I don't think people want this. I don't know that anyone wants to talk to their computer. I think they want to get stuff done with their computer. Historically, Microsoft and their Surface division have argued that technology should step back and be a tool that helps you get stuff done. And now it's the tool you get to talk to. So it's the complete reversal in one sense of the messaging there. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff from the laptop and computer space. Um, if you haven't heard about the ongoing RAM crisis, let me give you a couple of seconds of information because due to AI, and again, it's hard not to talk about AI at CES, the demand for AI and AI processing has led to a huge demand on RAM memory, which means that memory prices have been going up. And they haven't just gone up a little, they've gone up exponentially, and just in the last 2 months, frankly, which means that If you're an enthusiast and you're going out shopping for memory, the memory kit that would have cost you $100 now costs you $500. Literally a 4 or 5-fold increase in the cost of RAM. This is tough if you're an enthusiast and you're buying, do-it-yourself computer parts, but it also means that the actual computers that we're going to see on sale at the show are going to be have a chance to be much more expensive than before. I would say 10 to 15% increase in prices for laptops. The same thing will hold true for phones. The same thing will hold true for anything that uses memory, and there's a lot more memory in a lot of places that you wouldn't think about. So that's going to be a really big factor, and it'll be one of the things that I'm looking forward to at the show is conversations with some of these manufacturers about how they're dealing with that crisis. So on top of tariffs, on top of shipping wars, on top of consumer sentiment being down, there's this added cost factor, which I think is going to be shaping a lot of what we see there. I heard one report that Dell was planning to raise prices by 15 to 20%. So if you want a new computer, I hope you bought it for Black Friday because it's going to get more expensive.
Or
Um,
hope, or buy last year's model. I just did the meta exercise, and I decided with the trade-offs, I'll just go for the older version.
yeah,
But,
which is probably good enough.
yeah, for my photography, yeah, and for what I'm going to say to it. So yeah, I think it is going to be an interesting, but again, you'll see the leaders and what will be, and then the prices come down after that. So Daniel, that gives you a great entree. Um, we're hearing a lot about AI being not just talkative, but actually predictive. Like you no longer you just think about it, and AI will figure it out. And that is, I think, a big topic of conversation this year. So why don't you tell us what you're seeing on the AIification of CES?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we're quite to the point that it's going to actually anticipate where we're going, but we're some of the things we're not going to see at CES. We're not going to see anything like this, but I do have prototypes from the 23rd century as well in my portfolio, so I try to keep ahead of what's happening. And I think wearables are going to be one of the areas. It's not just wearables, but it's the intelligence inside of wearables. So there's AI tools built into VR glasses like X-Real. And I'll come back to this as a theme multiple times here is the materials as well. So Camillo is showing glasses that can change the way the lenses work. And so there's intelligent materials that have nothing to do with generative AI. And they have nothing to do with AI, and specifically, but they are intelligent from the standpoint that they can morph. We're going to see, of course, earbuds with translations. We've got Pebble, coming up with their new ring. We got intelligent dash cams from companies like Vantru. One of the ones I saw that was fascinating was YBrush is going to be showing a sonic toothbrush that has built-in gas sensors and AI that can sense what's wrong with you across 300 different parameters while you're brushing your teeth. So, I think sensors are one of the other big factors that we're going to see. And to Jeremy's point about nerdiness, there are component vendors as well at CES. So we're not just talking about seeing robots all up. We're also talking about seeing companies like Zella with U-Skin. That's a new 3D texture that they can put on the tips of robots so they can sense better. We're also, I think, in the wearable space, you're going to see a lot of AI around wearables like Plod and Viam and Movi's TickNote that give you the ability to hear, if you're going to one of the keynotes, you can wear one of these devices. It will transcribe all of the content and then give you all the takeaways. Very similar to what your experience might be in Zoom or Google Meet when you're turning on the AI factors there. But this gives it to you as a personal device that you can use. You can also talk to your lights. So Jeremy asking about talking to the computers, we could probably have a whole discussion about that. I just put up some LaPro lights that I can now push a button. And I think we're going to see a lot of this where you can actually generatively express what you want the lights to do, and they will do that for you. And those, rather than being conversations, or commands. And so I think we'll see voice being used in that way. Um, and there was a company that is doing, I think it's called Falcon, that's doing an AI camera. So I was in the era of webcams, or not webcams, just camcorders. And now when I watch concerts and things, I'm watching everybody with their iPhone or their Samsung watching and recording everything. And so there's a space between you and the event. And they've created an AI camera that you just put up and tell it what you want it to watch, and it'll watch it for you so you can actually watch the event yourself. So I think that's interesting. Um, Beauty agents are going to be out there. We've got one that's going to take a picture of you, and it's called the Beautiful AI API. That's called the Perfect Beauty Agent, that you can take a selfie of yourself, and then it'll tell you what makeup you should use. One of the pieces I'm looking forward to seeing is Loki L1 or Looky L1. And so Gordon Bell was a researcher at Microsoft that ran around with cameras and digitized his entire life. I'm going to turn around and tap my mouse so that the screen doesn't keep flicking off on me. Um, and they have this device that is a multimodal sensing device that you wear. And, I don't know if people are going to like it or not, but you can wear it and it'll kind of track your entire life and remind you both in audio and video and eventually in text, because it will interpret that, what happened in your day. So that's for some people that may be a little creepy. Some people may find it something that's interesting. Industrial robots were mentioned, so I think we're going to see, of course, Oshkosh and a lot of those, and those are technologies that I think we're going to see filtering down. So you've seen, you're going to see big autonomous things doing safe and in safe spaces where they're going to be applied to putting out fires or helping build things, or going on a cranes and helping build skyscrapers. I think that same technology will get smaller. And I think there's this convergence that's going to happen. We're seeing a lot of push for humanoid robots. I don't believe humanoid robots are where the future of robotics is going to be. I'm not sure anybody wants humanoid robots. I'm not sure what they're for, because there are so many things we're not good at that robots could be better at if they were made for the thing that we're trying to do. And so we're going to see purpose-built robotics, and that goes back to my earlier comments around the components. At CES, you can see all of the pieces as well. As I said, the sensors, the actuators, all of those companies are there as well. And then Robin mentioned, Plant Pets, which is the name of the product that turns your plant into a user interface. It doesn't just take your plant and dance around with you as a robot. You can actually touch the leaves and it will influence what the robot does. So that's an interesting thing. We're going to see an autonomous cooking thing, so a very Jetsons things. We're going to see a chef that's going to prepare a meal completely autonomously. And we're also going to see large language model infused stuffed toys from companies like Folotoy. So that one's going to be an interesting thing to watch. And I'll leave you with, kind of thinking about the not just robotics, but also cybernetics or cyborgism or transhumanism or whatever. So I think the wearables are going to get to the point. So there's going to be Vigix is going to be showing knee braces that actually help you walk and help you perform in sports better and give you feedback and support you at the same time. So all of the wearables are not just going to be necklaces or rings or watches or glasses. They're also going to be walking amplification tools. And we're going to get to the point that, I think that's a transition that we'll see over the next few years, is more of the, less of the robots and more about the how do we make humans better. And I think on the PC side, I would watch for one of the pieces I'm writing right now as an analyst is on the potential disruption. Microsoft recently announced they wanted an agentic OS. I think we're going to see a disruption potentially in what we call an operating system. And so Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And we're going to see AI become a potential substrate for that. And so watch things like what Lenovo is going to say at Tech World at the Sphere for some of those announcements, and keep an eye on the PC companies and see where that takes us. And I'll take a breath and hand it off to our
Nice
next speaker.
job.
Thank you, Robin.
Nice job. And you are right. We're running the retail area, and one of our premier panels is the future of search because it's not the search that you know anymore.
Right.
And everybody who's ever built a website is in a panic. And so something else to watch out for. And the other thing I
Yeah.
didn't hear you guys mention much is XR. And
Yeah.
are the MetaQuests and the Hives, or is it just a different form factor? We might start to see that. But I want to get to Meredith. I want to keep things moving along because I want to hear the
Before we do,
exhibitor.
before we do, can I throw in one quick idea?
Yeah.
I agree with you. We haven't talked about XR much, and I think that's because I don't think there's as much consumer demand for it as there is actual interest in tech from technologists. But the one area of AI that Daniel didn't mention, that was a great overview. I think that there's going to be a lot of practical AI that influences your health. Last year, we saw a device that was it's a mirror that would take your blood pressure, which is fascinating for a mirror to be able to do that. This year, I heard about a toilet that's going to measure your vitals as you use it.
Yeah.
It sounds a little gross, but that's very useful. I heard about a treadmill that is going to have a personal coach built in, so it's not just like being on a Peloton where you're in a class, but you have an individual one-on-one coaching. And I heard about pet care, where there's going to be litter boxes that have AI built directly into them to measure your pet's health. This feels like a very practical and very immediate use
Yeah.
of AI rather than the broader
Yeah.
AI we're also
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
And
And I kind of hinted
Balancien's
at that
private,
with,
but that's a great segue to
yeah.
Meredith because
Yeah.
this is her expertise. So, these wearables, it's so funny you mentioned this because I just got the 2025 like wrap up of my life from everything that I ever did. It's the Spotify, the Google Photos, the where I was in the world. I'm saying I don't have much of a life, but so these things know a lot about you. Yes, your pee and how you sleep and I will say the average weight, and this is, I can almost quantify this, of a CES attendee from 1967 to today is way down. If you just look at photos over the years, so these wearables are working. We have proof that people are staying healthier, longer, better because of them. Meredith, to you.
Hey everybody, I'm Meredith Perry. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Elemind. Very excited to be at CES this year. It's my first year exhibiting, so happy to be here. We're actually going to be exhibiting within AARP's Age Tech booth. So for those of you who aren't familiar, AARP has a massive presence at CES. They have basically a replica of a house. And within that house, there at different parts of the house, whether it's the kitchen or the bedroom, there's going to be different kinds of technology that will be helpful to seniors, amongst other people, within the house. And we're going to be in there. So I'll tell you just a little bit about Elemind. And it is a very good segue from what Jeremy and Robin and Daniel were saying. So, a lot of wearables and products that have existed prior to us, or just read devices. These are a lot of devices that measure what's happening with your health and tell you what happened. It's like a scale. You get on the scale, it tells you how much you weigh, but the scale doesn't actually make you thinner. And your Oura Ring doesn't actually help you sleep better. It just tells you how poorly you slept or how well you slept. We changed that with Elemind. So we are one of the first read and write wearable devices that uses AI, that uses new kinds of sensors, that reads the brain in real time and uses stimulation, very precisely timed stimulation relative to what we're reading. So it's hyper personalized reading in the brain to guide the brain from one state to another. So in a way, we like to think that we're building sort of the new app store or a new kind of app store, but for the brain, where you can download a brain state like you download an app from an app store. We've proven a lot of things over the last 7 years, but the first product that we've launched is around sleep. So we've built this headband. If you come to CES, if you come to our booth, which is Venetian Expo Level 2, it's called booth 54123 within the AARP Age Tech booth. You can't miss it. You can demo. Oops, I just dropped something. You can demo our headband. So you put this on your head. We read your brain, and we help you fall asleep in half the time. You can think of it like noise cancellation for your brain. We put Robin
Right.
to sleep.
She did, and the New York City subways and people out in the open. I mean, it's pretty terrific. And you'll see other neural brain interfaces at CES. Neurable's a company that is doing a lot of using your brain as an interface, neuronics. So there's a lot going on in that space. But Meredith, so how do you prepare for all of this, like as an exhibitor? So I know AARP is hugely supportive of the
Yeah.
people in their area. But you've been working on just getting to CES, getting your stuff to CES.
Yes. So there's a lot that goes into it. We have to bring the whole house there effectively. We've got two sort of replica beds. I'm bringing a whole bunch of headbands. We've got a screen to show you what's going on in the product. We're bringing iPads to show people what their brains actually looked like. Two people from our team, and we're a really tiny team, so that is half our team. Half our team is coming to CES. And yeah, just months out, we've been planning and preparing for this. We are lucky that AARP is
Yeah.
doing a huge amount of legwork, but
Yeah.
we'll be there. And we're also planning to take people off the floor and give them proper nap demos. If you want to go to sleep with Elemind, we're happy to put you to sleep.
Yeah. I'll share a great photo with you. The first year we did sleep in the digital health space, we had some bed, and literally there were like 50 beds, and people were just sleeping. And it was a great photo moment. But Stuart, I want to bring you into this conversation because you may have some tips on how we parse this all out, get through all this. How do you do this?
Well, half of my days are assignments, and a lot of them are conferences. I think the conferences are, in many ways, the most fascinating part of the show, only because you could see technologies, and of course, they're all being presented by interested parties, shall we say, companies trying to sell their products. Where the conferences are really ways of parsing out what all these technologies mean, and what they're going to do, and explaining them from a far more objective point of view. So instead of just getting a sales pitch from the booth exhibitors, you get a really much more nuanced look at what the technology would mean today and what it might mean tomorrow. From a humorous point of view, even though I consider myself more of a historian, I live a great deal of my time in the past. This is going to sound really weird. If those of you are familiar with the worst movie ever made, Plan 9 from Outer Space, there is an intro by somebody named Criswell, who I have no idea who he is, but it's a great line, which is really stupid, but CES always brings to mind when I hear this is, "We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives." So I always view CES as I'm looking forward. I'm not looking back. And for me, my favorite place at the show is Eureka Park. Eureka Park is a living, breathing episode of Shark Tank, and definitely points more to the future, for me anyway, than any other exhibitors at the booth, because these are all the people who are going to be the big exhibitors of tomorrow. And the fun part for me as a journalist, and I'm sure Jeremy could second this, is picking out who the winners are going to be. And the last gadget standing plays a big role on that. Robin, wasn't there a last product standing winner that was essentially a tricorder?
Yes. And actually, sadly, mostly because of regulation, he went out of business. But it was an attachment to your PC that was your stethoscope, your ear otoscope, and he was brilliant. And
I think I covered it for the Show Daily. I've been covering
yeah,
the show for the Show Daily since 1986, if memory serves. So Eureka
yeah,
Park is fabulous, and it started out as this great idea in 2012. There were only 94 booths at that very first Eureka Park. And now it's grown, as John had mentioned, to 11. I think it was 1,400 last year, if memory serves. Um, and I love the fact that upstairs from that is the health and wealth and the smart home, because again, I think a lot of the technologies that are shown there are far more a functional purpose as opposed to smart appliances or things. They're much more immediate and impactful for individual users. I've been making it my business to become an expert in over-the-counter hearing aids, which 4 or 5 years ago was nothing. And now people who are of mild and moderate hearing loss can buy a hearing aid. I am wearing the Apple AirPod Pro 3, which
Yeah.
are hearing aids. And if you could buy a hearing aid now for $250
Yeah.
as opposed to having you spend $8,000 through an audiologist,
Right. And
this
some
is
of
one
you
of the
don't know
great
this, but I
booms
know
for those
John.
of us who are literal
Yeah.
graybeards.
I know John knows this. Some of you don't know this. CTA, the parent company of CES, does tremendous amount of work and actually put the over-the-counter hearing aids into become a reality, as well as what is sleep, what is a fall. So all year long, there are committees, working committees at CES, at CTA, based on their members who really deal with these issues that become productized.
Yeah.
Um,
In that
and
case, and
I
Robin, in
think,
that case specifically with the over-the-counter hearing aids, it was an act of Congress to get that through legislation to make that possible.
2017.
Yeah.
yeah, but you guys worked really hard to push.
Yeah, we did. That was something we advocated for,
Yeah.
with our
Long time.
legislators. Yeah.
Yeah, and really,
And right now we're the industry is trying to figure out how to lower the cost for those with severe hearing loss, which is not covered in the OTCA. And right now there is this enormous price chasm between over the counter and prescription level, a lot of it tied into audiologist services. But right now, just for those people with mild to moderate hearing loss, below 50 dB hearing loss, again, CTA and CES has played a huge role in getting those and other real great medical wearable advances out there, including smart watches and sensors. I've been watching this for the last decade and spending time in that health and wellness space. Again, for somebody who is a senior, that to me has been the greatest practical, everyday kind of place where really solid developments are taking place
yeah,
for the future.
yeah. So we've got just a few seconds left. Does anybody in the audience have a burning question or comment or something to share with us about your own wisdom and years at CES? If not, I will tell you we are not a one-trick pony. So I'm going to put up this. I'm going to tell you where else we're going to be. So CES, as I said, is really big for us. You will see us soon after that at Silicon Valley Video Summit, where we talk about the fact that every company, and I don't care who you are, and every business is in the media business now. So we gather the Silicon Valley enterprise companies, Meta, Microsoft, LinkedIn, Apple, and we talk shop about AV and video. We'll be at Toy Fair talking about the AIification of toys, and I know you'll see a lot of them on the CES show floor. We'll be at South by Southwest looking at their innovation awards. How many ways can you say AI agents? Is all I have to say about that. We'll be at the NAB show talking about new content creators. We'll be at Infocom talking about systems integrators in verticals like retail. And then we'll be at IFA Berlin in the fall talking about the European creator market and how that is growing. So stick with us. We're going to take the month of February off of virtual events groups because we're like kind of snowed under, but we'll see you in March with a preview of NAB. Sign up for our newsletter. Let us know if you want to get in touch with any of these folks, just let us know and we'll find them for you. You probably want to clone each one of them and have them as your guide through CES. Can't thank you guys enough. I know you're super busy. See you at the show. Happy holidays. Happy New Year from the virtual events group. Thank you.